Okay, welcome back to the Apocalypse Podcast. I am Kyle, one of the co-hosts. With me is Taylor, my brother. Say hi, go now.
Hi, go now.
Next, we have one of our fellow Magic resident boys, Danny.
The Danielson.
Who's never been called that in his entire life. Say hi.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Nice to be back.
Yeah, calling you Danny is completely fucked up and unhinged, and I'm really sorry I did that.
That was kind of gross.
Yeah, no, I'm just Daniel.
This guy's firmly a Daniel man. We're going to do a magic episode today, if that wasn't obvious. Carver went and the fucking bastard had another baby, so he's like busy or whatever. I call bullshit on that. So he can't be here today, only Daniel can. And we're going to do Final Fantasy spoilers, or as I like to call them, Final Fucktasy fucklers.
I would have said fart instead of fuck, but that's all right.
Final Fartasy.
Yeah.
Final Fartasy. It's
See?
better.
That's a lot better.
Look, I know art when I see it.
Yeah, Taylor knows his fart jokes when he hears them. So
Or smells
yeah,
them.
I'm not happy about it, but we're doing it because, you know, it's new Magic cards and they're fun to talk about, whether they're themed in something we don't care about or not, which Taylor is a Final Fantasy nerd. So
yeah, I'll say is
like
that
these anyway.
I know enough about the overall series to get myself into trouble. Where it's like, the stuff I know, but the stuff I don't know, I know enough about to sound like I do, but the details will be wrong. But I might know more than everyone who would ever listen to the podcast, so I don't think I can be corrected. So,
yeah, and Kyle and I don't think
anything.
know
So
anything,
I don't
and
know.
we'll not be able to correct you. So you have a
Oh,
whole
dude, this is
platform
he has
awesome.
to
full
spread
authority. He
whatever
can just make
bullshit
up
you
lore.
want.
Man, I
we
need-
will
Yeah,
know
this
the
is
difference.
Taylor's world
I
building
need
episode.
this validation so badly you don't understand, so it's okay.
Just create up as much lore for
Look,
the Final Fantasy
after
universe
playing
as possible.
more Clair Obscure 33, Expedition 33 here, it really does feel... I'm thinking about Final Fantasy a lot because it reminds me of what I thought Final Fantasy like 13 would have been when I was 12. So I'm... I got
It's
to
the adult version of Final Fantasy.
It's just not the whatever... I don't know. Pop culture's weird. Anyway, speaking of pop...
Don't do it.
Okay.
Let's go.
all right, Kyle.
Taylor, since you're you're starting because you're
Okay.
the Final Fantasy guy.
Okay, cool.
You got to do it.
I'll
Open
actually
us up.
no.
Let's get right
This
into
is
it.
the one that I actually have thought about as a card the most. So actually, I'm glad I got this one. So this one's Cecil the Dark Knight. It's a 1 mana. It's a transforming card. It's got a front and a back. So give me a sec here. Front side,
yeah.
1 black mana, 2/3 Death Touch. Okay. When Cecil deals combat damage, you lose that much life. Then, if your life total is less or than or equal to half your starting, you transform him into the Redeemed Paladin, who's a 4/4 lifelink, and when it attacks, other attacking creatures gain indestructible. Not him.
Until
notably.
end of turn.
Done.
And
Yeah.
until end of turn. It is not permanent.
Also, it's not until the end of combat either, which is actually super relevant in some ways. This card seems insane to me, like one of the best 1-drops of all time ever, because it doesn't need anything to make it good. It's got negative life touch right on the front end, and the back end is just like a 4/4 lifelink. I don't know. This just seems insane to me.
Yeah, I actually really like the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I really like the combo. Yeah, like putting this ability that he drains you life on the front end, and once you transform him, then you have this big 4/4 life linker. I think that's sweet. But yeah, this card seems crazy. I don't know how good it'll actually be. I don't know enough about the standard or the modern meta or anything. But this card seems crazy to me. I would love to have this in the deck.
To me, the reason why, like, I can't imagine why it's not good is how do you transform it? Just have half your life total. What is the downside of most aggressive aggro cards is that you you're chipping yourself away and you're leaving yourself open for damage. And so when you see this thing, it's like, well, I don't even have to attack with this to get it to 10 life. You know, he doesn't have to do anything to trigger his transformation.
Okay. A couple things I want to point out number one, and most
Also,
importantly, and
he's
I
a
know
human.
all the audience is going to be asking this as well. Is his name actually Cecil or whatever you said, or is it Cecil?
I was gonna say Cecil,
it is
but I don't know anything about Final
Cecil.
Fantasy.
Okay.
This is believe Final Fantasy 3. So this was like when I read it, it was always Cecil, and then I heard Cecil. I don't know that it matters.
Oh yeah, it's like when reading Harry Potter when we were kids and we thought her name was Hermione.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things.
Yeah,
so
okay.
a little bit. Some of these names, if I say wrong, it's probably because that's how I read it. Like the next card, I want to tell you how I pronounced it, but it's been very hard.
So, irregardlessly, Cecil is okay. So another question. My God, Kyle, chill. Are these cards going to be legal in normal formats? I can't remember if these are part of this new rule or whatever.
I'm sorry.
I thought these are all standard legal
this
cards.
is a standard legal. This is the next standard set coming
bless
out.
America. Okay, that's fine. So that means that it's legal in Modern, which is where I believe this card will be most relevant. Now, apologies out there for any Modern people who know, and I'm speaking blasphemously, but like, my knowledge of Modern is very old. All I know is that Death's I was about to call it Death's Knight because Cecil Dark Knight.
Death Snipe. Fucking nerd.
What is that card? Death's Shadow. That's like a 1-mana 13/13, and he gets -X for your life total.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, yeah, Death's Shadow decks were really strong and popular for a long time. I don't know if they still are, but with fetch lands and shock lands, you can hurt yourself quite a lot very quickly. This kind of card seems like it would play into that deck well, where it's an extremely aggressive 1-drop. A 2/3 Death Touch is really hard to block. It is also a good blocker. Attacking lowers your own life total, which makes your Death Shadows better. And then he flips over for free. By the way, it's no mana, nothing. All you need to do is attack with him. You lose that much life. If your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, with which in Death Shadows decks they are very quickly, you untap and transform him. So this happens all before blockers are even declared. No, it's not. It deals damage.
What I think, but the big.
Yeah, so he does have to deal
So,
damage.
He does have to
in
deal
order
But the
to
reason
frame the
I
split.
think he's so
That's way
good
worse.
is that means if something is big enough to kill it, it is trading up. So you either let him transform, or he's at least a 1-for-1 for at least something that is worth more mana than it's costed you. So like to me,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
and it's also what makes him insane is cards like this. It's normally the damage it takes you take, but it's just the damage he deals you take. So it's not even that scary of a, like, you don't need to mess with his power because he has Death Touch. So you don't use him to like as a closer out guy. So it just shocks you. I don't know this thing. And
I think he's going to be really, really, really good in the decks that he's good in. Like, obviously, you're not going to put him in a deck where your life total. Because, like, in the mirror, he might be kind of bad, right? Because a deck like this is gonna want to race your opponents. So you taking damage doesn't matter because you're going to be dishing out so much more. That's like the whole thing of Death Shadow as well. That's their whole gimmick. But in a mirror matchup or playing against another aggro deck, this guy could be pretty bad. He does deal damage to you when you block, so
wait, but
you know
thing
you're
is,
always losing damage from him.
But we've only talked about the front half for this entire conversation because like those are all problems that get solved by his back half.
Right? Yeah. He turns into a 4/4 lifelink, which is also I like that you can attack with him, trigger his ability, untap him, flip him over. Now you have a 4/4 blocker on the receiving end, so your opponents are going to be in a really shitty situation if this attack is what's going to trigger his flip, they're in a tough spot. They either got to like throw something, at least a 3-power guy into him because he's a 2/3 Death Touch for 1, which is just an absurd stat line. So they have to throw a big guy into him to kill him, and if they take the damage and let you flip him, yeah, now you have an untapped 4/4 lifelink that
in theory could win.
He's so good.
Yeah,
he is very, very.
See,
very,
that's what I'm
very
saying.
Good.
Is like. I just think you don't have to put anything special in your deck for him to just think about like a mid-range Jund black-green removal pile. Like, why wouldn't you just put this guy in there? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
specifically, like I said, the kind of Jund Death Shadows decks, this guy's gonna shine in Modern because of fetch lands and shock lands being legal is just massive.
And like I feel there's black aggro decks in general that aren't just Death Shadows decks. I feel like you don't have to accelerate his flip mode, which is why he's so good in all decks. I just don't think you need. He's a tool in in a control shell. Why wouldn't this be a good control on the ground creature? It's going to be a 1-for-1. You know, it just
because he's like, I don't know, he's never going to flip.
Well, you don't need him to flip.
Well, then why would you put him in your deck?
Because it's a 2/3 death touch for 1 mana. It allows you to.
He like kills you in. Okay, I'm just gonna say he'd be very bad in like a control deck, or maybe you're talking more mid-rangey control, like a Dimir control. I don't know what you mean by control. In my head, that's like blue counter spells, bounce stuff, tempo plays, and then you play a big finisher. Like he's not gonna be good in that deck. But regardless, like the decks that he is good in, he is extremely good, and that's what's important about the card. Is like the type of deck you would play him in, he will be exceptional.
Yeah, and he's also gonna be great in token, like a go wide decks. I can't wait to find an Abzan like go wide army deck when this thing flips over and just like Crater, like it's I don't know, not big Crater Behemoth, but like a fun finisher for go wide strategies. If you can flip this thing, obviously it's not realistic. I just think this card would be fun. It does things I like. So, now. Is there anything else or gameplay wise you guys want to talk about with this guy? Because I'm going to give you the lore minute afterwards on Cecil the Dark Knight.
Daniel hasn't been able to say much.
Sorry, excuse me. I don't have too much to say. I mean, yeah, I think you guys covered all of it. I think he is going to be good. I don't know what type of decks. Again, I don't know too much about the metas, so I don't know what type of decks he'd fit well in. But like what you were saying, Taylor, about him just throwing him in any deck. I don't know if I would agree with that though, because I think obviously his second ability, you're losing life anytime he blocks something, anytime you attack with him. And like you said, his second half, or his other half, I should say, kind of solves that problem with the lifelink. But I think that if you want to be saved by his flip side, you need to have a deck that's going to cater to that, right?
I'm saying I disagree with what I'm being characterized here. I do not think that would be a good. I'm saying his back half is meaningless. I'm saying this card is good because of his front half. All I'm saying is that like trading 2 life to kill any creature is a stapled onto so many removal spells that people think are good. That's why this creature is good. So like. I don't think there's any downside to him because if you are at half health, he can then bounce you back too. So just to be clear, definitely don't think he's that scenario.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, that makes total sense. Yeah, I guess he's a good card. I don't have too much else to say though, but yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered it all.
All right.
All right, so what's the lore,
Lore
Taylor?
corner. Everybody sit down.
All right, this is actually not that interesting because it's kind of like the most obvious thing. So Dark Knights, specifically in Final Fantasy, spend life to cast spells. Like a lot of their abilities are high damaging, but they drain their own life. And then Paladins are healing and they're like Dark Knights, but instead of taking damage, they heal, right? They're just inverses. So that's the idea. And in the story, Cecil is being kind of like, in Lord of the Rings, the dude who gets the evil guy whispering in his ear and he gets all corrupted. That's basically this guy. He's
worm tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He has a worm tongue being mind controlled, and eventually the main characters break through and he becomes a paladin. And in the game, he goes from being a Dark Knight to becoming a paladin, and he like loses all his access to the dark magic and being able to use Dark Knight weapons and has to use paladin stuff. And that's all. That's
pretty cool.
So J.R.R. Tolkien just got straight up busted for copying this. That's really
you're an idiot,
really
Kyle.
shameful.
J.R.R. Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings like so long ago, and this game came out in like the 90s.
Yeah, that might have been the joke, but we'll move on.
I had something to redeem myself because I realized I missed the joke because I'm a dim dom ding dong, but that's fine. Thank you. My cat just outclawed me. So, Daniel, you'll go next.
He let you know. It's like, dude, come
The
on.
cat was
get a
like,
grip.
time to let it go. All right, so it's my turn. You
Yes,
said?
I decided. Alphabetical.
All right. Okay, perfect. All right, so the next card is Cloud, Planet's Champion. So it's a 5 mana, 3 generic mana, 1 red, 1 white, legendary creature. He's a 4/4. During your turn, as long as Cloud is equipped, it has double strike and indestructible. And equip abilities you activate that target him cost 2 less to activate. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to fit really well into the Boros archetype of equipment. Yeah, I don't know how
Dude, just say it.
it compares to
It's
other ones.
dog.
I mean,
This
like,
is dog water. Hot dog water.
yeah, like I feel like compared to other some of the other Boros like legendaries, isn't that insane. But I mean, it's good. But I'm not losing my mind over it. I don't know how do you
It
guys feel
feels
about
like a commander. It feels like not to be
Yeah,
that guy, but it does feel like an interesting. If you were to build a deck around it, this is exactly the kind of text you'd want on a card you could have access to at any point. I think, like you said, I think in a game where you were playing this against friends and you guys were all building janky fun decks, this is awesome. I think it is not a competitively statted or a built card, nor is his abilities. I think if he got double strike and trample, indestructible and trample, but it's without like any kind of closing power. I don't know. I guess a lot of equipment might have trample, but you know what I mean.
He's just very bad overall because, first of all, during your turn, he has double strike and indestructible, makes him crazy vulnerable in a color combination that is already really vulnerable. Like, Boros is, you have some protection spells in white, but really that's not what you do. I mean, you have some for Voltron commanders, but like, I don't know. He just strikes me as being really bad because, equip abilities costing 2 less can it could make all your equipment free, right? Like, you play Cloud if you've been spending turns 1 through 4 just playing equipment, and then you slam Cloud and just equip everything to him. Like, he could turn into this gigantic monster instantly. However, equip abilities are respondable. So on the first thing you're trying to equip on Cloud, if they have a removal spell, Cloud is just dead. So he has no inherent protection for himself. Now, I guess if you play Cloud, you get that equip on him because it's your turn. He's going to have this, double strike and indestructible, but as soon as you pass, you have 3 players to contend with, while Cloud has no protection. Then if you play equipment to counter that, by, like playing equipment that gives permanent indestructible or hexproof, then his first line of text feels really bad of like, only during my turn I have double strike and indestructible, but all my equipment is already giving these keywords, so he effectively is kind of bad. Like,
I also just read
best case
that his ability only works on your turn, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that and I missed it, but
yeah, that's what I've been talking about.
Sorry, it just dawned on me. It's only during your turn.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You have 3 other players now that get to go while Cloud is completely unprotected and can kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you
I would agree with all of that.
He's just not good.
Yeah,
and I feel like you're right too. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think you mentioned it, Kyle. That like double strike and indestructible, I feel like are 2 of the more common abilities for those equipments to already provide. So
yeah, especially like kind of the bomb equipments that kind of win you games. Usually it's like double strike stuff and indestructible stuff because Voltron is an inherently fragile gameplay because you're banking everything on your one creature. So if you don't get shit on him to protect him very well, like you're gonna lose. So if you're playing Voltron, there are just way better commanders than this guy, especially considering his protection and double strike is only on your turn. Equipping costs less, but there's already tons of cards that get around equip ability costs.
All right, Kyle. I thought of something.
Okay, let me ask a question. So coming on, this is going to be standard legal.
And
coming
standard, he's
off
even worse,
of
like beyond the pale.
Oh, he's unusable, right? As of today.
No, I realized. I'm just wondering. So are there equipments in other colors that in a 3-color deck he would be better? Not good, but better. I'm not super. I'm not super familiar with what the equipments are.
Current equipment I know that's good is the Corey Steel cutter, and that's in red. But that's good for different reasons than a red-white equipment deck. Right now, I don't know there's a lot of equipment in standard at all, let alone outside of these 2 colors. I think most of them are artifacts or red or white.
Yeah.
What I realize is I think the flavor they're trying to do is you don't equip him with any of those equipment that you're describing, right? He turns your 2 mana, give it +1/+1 and trample sword into +1/+1 trample indestructible double strike, you know? So maybe you put in lightning.
It's so bad.
I know. And the devil's advocate I'm going to say is what you do is you get those purely defensive equipments, and now they're offensive and defensive, you know? You give it hexproof all the time and haste or whatever. And then if he's attacking, it doesn't matter if it's only on his turn. I think losing indestructible is a hard, for me to justify, but just to playing devil's advocate of, that's the flavor I think they're going for, is you just pick up any junky thing and it turns it into this powerhouse of a weapon for him to strike with. But as a playable card,
he's shitty, farty, assy. Poopy.
You know, I do think his static ability is objectively very powerful and fucked up to have on the field. Is it a 5 mana effect? And and so I think
no. There's regular rares that just say equip abilities cost 0.
You're right. That's fair. Fair.
He's just not good in any metric, and he has no power scaling either. He has no cost reduction. He doesn't have haste. He's not fast. He just does nothing. There's I have a pauper general whose name I can't remember right now. That's just better than this guy, I think, in every way. He's a Boros commander. He's 4 mana, 5/3. The first equip ability on him is free every turn, and he gets +2/+0 per equipment on him. So you just put one thing that gives him flying and a couple other things, and he's just 15 power flying in the air. He's a 4-drop. And that's an uncommon. That's a pauper EDH general that I think is better than this guy. That's the kind of we're not even talking full power Voltron Boros commanders that are actually really good. This guy's just poop.
Yeah. Okay, poop. On to the next card.
Cloud. Right. More like rain.
Drum roll. All right. Welcome to Taylor's Lore Hour. What video game is he from? This one's a quiz.
Final Fantasy.
Which one? Thank you, funny guy.
Good guess, Daniel. Good guess, Daniel. That was really, really good. Which game is he from? Kingdom Hearts.
All right, you're both assholes. He is technically in Kingdom Hearts. Don't be an asshole.
That's what I thought.
There are no Kingdom Hearts cards in this goddamn set. Eat my ass.
Wait, Cloud? Yeah, I don't know, man. He's not the first
Super
Final
Smash
Fantasy cool character guy.
Final Fantasy VII. I love how what percentage of gamers.
Dude, we told you we don't know anything about
you know
these
when
games.
people say they don't know anything, and then what they mean is I don't know enough to be a nerd about it, and then there's literally nothing. Now I have a better frame of you don't know what game Cloud's in. You truly know nothing. That's fair.
I know Cloud and Sephiroth. I know those 2 names. That is it.
Okay.
And I know they're the hero and the villain of the series, and I thought they'd been in it since the beginning.
Nope. Number 7, the first PlayStation.
Oh, there's also Lightning, because I have a nude mouse of her. Nude mouse pad.
That's true. She was very hot. That's objectively true.
That's an old inside joke. Ryan will get that maybe, but yeah, there's people got creepy sexually obsessed with Lightning when they introduced her a couple years ago. I don't know when. Anyways, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna go next because that's all that's left.
That's fine. I didn't have fun doing my lore hour. Okay. Bye-bye.
Sorry, dude. Well, there's 12 more.
You told us he was from Final Fantasy VII.
That's not lore.
That took about an hour.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Okay,
what? You have 12
What's the point? I guess I have to explain the flavor of the abilities while we're talking about it. Holy.
This is going to be a 24-hour podcast. Taylor has a lore hour for every card.
That's the only set I can do this for. Are you kidding me? What are we doing this for, then? All right, you both can suck my nuts.
What's Cloud? Okay,
don't just shut up. Let's go next.
He was from Final Fantasy VII. Did you have a big lore drop for us?
No, go. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh boy. Okay, next card is Emmett Selch. I think Unsundered. He's 3 mana. He's a 3 mana 2/4. He costs 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. He has Vigilance. When he enters or attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 14 or more cards in your graveyard, you may transform him. He transforms into a 6/6 Vigilance. During your turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So many words on these cards, man, the Transformers. This guy, pretty solid. In Dimir, it's going to be very, very, very easy to fill up your graveyard. I would wager you play him on turn 3, and on turn 4, you'll probably be able to flip him. The first 2 turns you spend just milling. You know, maybe it'll take an extra turn, but by turn 5, surely he's going to flip. Being a 2/4 Vigilance for 3 mana, great body, sexy body, hot body. He's going to live.
Tight body.
Tight body.
Tight body with a fat ass.
And he flips into a 6/6 Vigilance, which is crazy. During your turn, you may play cards from your graveyard is a wild text. I mean, that's just what Yawgmoth's Will did, which was a huge combo card. The thing is, though, if a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. He lets you only play these things once, and then if anything would die, it gets exiled. That is a pretty big downside, so he's probably going to be more of a combo engine later. You, play him late, flip him, have a graveyard of, 30 cards, and then you get to play everything from there. You know, it just kind of, turns your graveyard into your hand. So I could see that being his biggest potential. This is EDH, of course. I have no idea how he will be in Standard. A 3-mana 2/4 Vigilance that loots on enter or attack could be good.
I think he's... I love this card. I think he's so cool. I think Vigilance 2/4 with the looting effect is insane because, yeah, if your opponent has anything less than a 4/4, you're just going to attack every turn and
True.
draw a card and discard a card, right? And then I also love, I didn't even notice until after we've been talking about this card for a minute, the transform is you may transform. So if you want to just keep the looting effect around, you can keep it. Which I don't know how common that is on transform abilities.
I think the May I guess it just depends on the card. There's a couple that are a May, but then there's also some that aren't.
I think the werewolf transforms are mandatory, but these transforming that you can't cast into, or I'll double check, but I don't know that I think they're usually optional because they go on the stack. I don't know. I'm gonna
total is less than Cecil transforms automatically.
Okay, I guess it is card by card.
So,
I guess I just assumed
it
was always optional. Huh? Learned something today.
Yeah, no, but anyway, regardless, if you don't want to deal with, the potential of losing all your cards into exile, or if your opponent has too much removal and you think it's risky or whatever, you can just keep this guy around. Anyway,
I think there's probably very few scenarios where you don't just flip this guy as soon as you can. I mean, 14 cards in your graveyard, flipping him into a 6/6 Vigilance that lets you play them all immediately, it's just really good. And
I would agree with that.
It's also symmetrical. If a card or token would be put... Oh, no, it isn't. It's your graveyard. Jesus Christ, dude. Read cards before you speak, Kyle. Yeah.
But the being able to play stuff from your graveyard is ridiculous.
Just play.
So it's
lands in there.
And that's with the ability to, you may transform him. You can just, keep him out, keep stacking up your graveyard until you get 20 or 30 cards in there, and you're going to have plenty of fuel, and then you flip him and you can play whatever you want, right? Because after that point, once you flip him, everything's going to go into exile as long as this guy stays around.
Yeah, he does have that inherent problem, though, that I'm only able to look at him through the lens of EDH, and he's technically a standard card, so I know we mentioned it. He sounds like he'd be okay for standard, but I just have no idea. Taylor, do you know the context of standard right now, where this kind of card could fit or would?
I haven't played standard in, I don't know, since before Bloomburrows. I watch standard now because I might jump back in with Final Fantasy, if I'm being honest, because I think their designs are going to be much more inspired in this set than in previous ones. But what I will say is that there was a card called, was it Lear Drowner of Secrets? and she lets you play everything in every instant and sorcery in your graveyard has flashback. I don't know if you know that card. It came out in the most recent Innistrad.
I do remember.
She's the most recent Innistrad. Anyway, that card was great in blue-black control. And
oh, wow, okay.
So what I'm saying is that I have been around with standards in this modern era where that has been playable. And right now, I don't think it might be. So right now, a really popular deck is a self-bouncing enchantment discard deck.
I have seen that.
Yeah, so this thing could it might fit in there because it's got a good enter effect and it cares about cycling through cards and then like it's just giving more access. So I can see where this actually does exist in standard. So I do think it's especially with it being a 3-mana card. Like it's not
that's the big thing.
It survives 3 damage spells, so it's I didn't have much to say. It's like blue-black is the color of Magic that I just it is a big fog to me of like I don't understand how to evaluate any of the cards it does because it's too 1/10 of the puzzle to really understand how good it is because he's as good as his survivability and the tools around him, right? As an individual piece, like he doesn't do enough. Like him coming in and looting is like, yeah, that's fine. Like he's a fine card. Well statted, great and limited. Yeah, you know what I mean? But
sealed bomb.
Yeah, but he does feel like the engine piece that like can make a combo deck go off. So I think it's cool.
In effect, his back half does just say your whole graveyard has flashback. Because that's exactly what it is. You can cast it from your graveyard and then it gets exiled. But he gives creatures flashback.
Yeah,
he gives you can play your lands,
enchantments. Wait, did you say play or cast on the back?
You play.
Oh, damn. Okay, yeah. See?
Yeah, so you can play. I think he's now that we're talking about it a little more, I think he is really good, especially with you giving the example of like a graveyard flashback deck being very strong in standard. This is the exact type, like he's going to be crazy. The only thing is, like you said, Taylor, he's just sort of a piece. So if you can't protect him, which in Dimir control, you most certainly can, you have to wait until your upkeep to flip him. But if you can wait that cycle, play him on turn 6 and then hold up counter spells and then protect him until your next turn, and turn 7, you flip him over and suddenly your graveyard is basically in your hand. You have a 6/6 vigilance. I mean, that sounds disgustingly good, right? Like crazy good.
I'm optimistic about this thing being good.
That's, okay. Fucking get shit on by Emmett Selch. Cloud.
So this guy's lore, he's from Final Fantasy 14. So he's a that's the MMO one.
Okay, so which Final Fantasy number are we on currently?
We are 16 is the PS5 exclusive that came out like 2 years ago.
Okay, so 14 is the MMO you just said. That was probably a long time ago.
Yeah, that came out in like 2013, 2011. So it's
wow, okay.
He is secretly, as you can see, his name becomes Hades on the back half. He's always he's been like a villain in multiple expansions as kind of a guy pulling the strings. And it turns out that the big bad villains are like you fight the summons in the game. And it turns out that he's secretly been one of the big bad ones, Hades. So he was much bigger of a villain and I don't play a lot of 14, so that's the vague idea. He's secretly like in the Shiva. You know about Shiva and Ifrit and such. He's one of those guys. And in Final Fantasy lore and 14, every summon is a super evil monster.
But is he one of those like guys that is evil right away and he's pretending he's not, but everyone's like, it is always God, dude, like get it.
He's always on the bad guy side, but you can tell that he's like got bigger plans than even the dudes he's aligning himself with, and you don't know what his real what is the motive, like why are you teaming up with this villain? We know you're a bad guy, but what purpose does it serve? You're too above this fight. What the fuck are you doing? Like that kind of mysterious.
He's a schemer.
Yes, 100%, and that's why blue-black fits him well, and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's all. He's a fan favorite, so it makes sense that he's here.
God, what a bad name for a fan. Emmett Selch. I'm sure people just call him Emmett. Why does he have this abbreviation?
Because his race is an elder. He's a race of beings that is like their naming conventions. They're all hyphenated like that and kind of weird. So it's just he's not a human, and that's their kind of thing. So, is it me
He's
now?
not a human.
No.
Oh, he's not. He's an elder wizard.
Yeah, he's not human.
And then he turns into an avatar. Nice. Okay, yeah, Tay, go.
All right, next is another transforming card. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Garland, Knight of Cornelia. Rakdos, black red. Human Knight, human important. I always highlight humans because that means they're at least playable, because humans are
tribal, very tribal.
Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Surveil 1. Okay. And then for 3 double black, double red, so 7 mana, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield transformed as a sorcery. He transforms as Chaos the Endless. 5/5 flyer. When it dies, put it at the bottom of the owner's library.
I will say he has a 2-mana 3/2 on the front. You didn't mention his power.
Oh,
toughness.
yeah, sorry.
He's a 2-mana 3/2. So
he's
pretty aggressive for Rakdos.
This is, I think, what they call those signpost limited cards, where like it's supposed to represent what the color pie does in this standard set. And I bet you it's like surveilling and stuff and wanting stuff in the graveyard. This thing just seems really good. And I hate saying like in a limited fashion, because like in standard, I don't know. In standard, this does seem
he's an uncommon as well. I think we need to hit on rarities because that is important. The first couple cards we talked about were mythics and rares. This guy's uncommon.
Yeah, and I guess that's why I called him a signpost uncommon, because that's literally they make these as a cycle. So I think he seems really good in a way that's just like hard to be excited about, but just surveilling one every non-creature in black and red, like dude, I don't know, that seems really good in the right thing, and it's aggressively statted, and it backside is kind of like if you got nothing else to do, and when you can tell it's an uncommon, like it seems fine. The Chaos half is a little underwhelming for the name of it, Chaos the Endless, just a 5/5 flyer.
And he's just a 5/5 that goes on the bottom of your library. Like, yeah, he's endless, but you don't get him back for 900 turns, so like not good.
So unexciting but powerful is how that's my initial impressions.
I would agree with that. Another tiny bit of synergy that I'll point out that I like with him is we kind of missed some of the hits on him. He is also legendary, so he's an uncommon legendary, but his first ability actually plays well into copies of himself. So like as you cast things, and let's say you reveal the top card and it's another Garland, you surveil it, put it into the graveyard, then you can cast the one from the graveyard transformed into Chaos, but leave your original Garland
that is good.
In play.
That's always nice to have a legendary creature that plays well with additional copies of itself.
Yes. Which is why Grandeur, that old ability from Future Sight, was very interesting, where you could like discard the copies to do cool stuff. That's really fun. So this guy, just a minor synergy with himself, where you could have kind of his front and backside on the battlefield at the same time, which would be cool. 7 mana is like crazy steep, but he is in the treasure colors. Rakdos is very treasure heavy. Casting all your non-creatures to surveil 1 helps you dig through your deck, helps you fill your graveyard if you have those synergies. It helps you get to your good cards faster. As a 2-drop, a 3/2, I mean, he like you said, he's like powerful if uninteresting. I think he's pretty solid.
What do you think, Daniel?
He could be in EDH as well. Like as a general, he'd be really unexciting, but I could definitely see the surveil on cast thing being pretty cool, pretty useful.
Yeah, he would make a cool popper EDH general. I think he's gonna be good. I don't know how, like 7 mana for I mean it's a 5/5 flyer, but like I mean late game when you have mana to spend and you have nothing else to do, obviously that's gonna feel amazing. So
which is actually it's where sometimes kind of aggro Rakdos decks struggle is at the top end. And giving you this in the graveyard.
And really I know this is a really stupid like end game type of thing, but it is technically it will always be able to hit its backside. It's like inevitable, and like there's something to be said about like I think the formats in that are long, this thing is more interesting, and like it provides it's a good sack outlet, and like I feel like this is such a good like a well designed, like it's more about how well it's designed, because it's encouraging you to use its own ability. Even reading the card even tells you like, oh, I could mill over itself and use the ability. You know what I mean? Like it's a good newbie teacher, and I think I'm like more like tickled by its clever game design than I am by like, ooh, this would be cool to use in my X deck. You know, that's kind of where I'm at.
Now, something we haven't talked about that I think is really important is flavor text. And this guy, he's got really good flavor text, and I'm going to read it to you all now.
It's really well written.
Prepare yourselves here for this. I, Garland, will knock you all down.
All right. So this would be my perfect time to interject with the lore of this guy. So if you had to guess,
I knew it was going to be lore oriented, but holy fuck, is it stupid?
Hey, we have
as
flavor
shit.
on the other side too. We have flavor on the
all
other
I'm going to
side.
say is this is from Final Fantasy 1. Okay, so
Okay,
that explains
okay. So
why
this
it's
is like
crap.
90s Japanese line.
Auto
Yeah.
translated to English, and he is the OG big bad villain that you thought was just a regular enemy, but he turns out he's this big powerful god. So like this is just the OG main bad dude. That's all. That's all the lore there is to it. The original game is literally there are 4 good guys and they kill all the bad guys at the end. And he was the bad guy. That's it.
That's
why it's also basic too, you know? Like, I don't even know that there's lore. Like, you couldn't really build flavor into a guy like this other than when they kill him, he becomes chaos. He reveals his true form eventually. After enough,
that sounds like a line that's like a memeable, like I am chaos. Isn't there a line something like that in the Final Fantasy universe?
Nothing associated with this guy that I'm aware of.
Maybe I'm thinking of Devil May Cry. I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
Daniel, I'm really excited for you to read this next card's name.
Yeah.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. It's Gladiolus Amicidia. He's a 6 mana, 4 generic, 1 red, 1 green, 6/6 legendary creature, human warrior. Another uncommon legendary. When he enters, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And then he has a landfall ability. Whenever a land you control enters, another target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Yeah, he's good. I like him. I like him a lot. I'm glad it's not another transform card that we have to read. But
true. Yes.
No, I think this is gonna be good. I mean, a six drop is obviously it's a little hard to hit, but with the ramp available, I think it's fairly reasonable. And then the landfall ability is so good, especially being for an uncommon. I think this guy's really good.
Now, I have 2 things to say, positive and negative. One is that I like that he triggers his own landfall on enter. I think that's kind of cool. You play him, you get the land, you buff something, and then get a little bit of a damage in, because he is a 6 drop. So like he needs to do something impactful right away. Otherwise, he's probably just dead or not good.
That's a really good point.
However, a key word that I think you may have glanced over was another.
Land.
Another target creature gets +2/+2. He cannot buff himself. If you could attack as an 8/8 trample, 10/10, 12/12, that would be awesome. But him buffing only other creatures holds this guy back massively. I think that's a huge downside.
Just being a 6/6 no trample is obviously
he has no keywords.
Significantly worse than being able to give himself trample. But I don't know. When you have plenty of other big boys out on the field already, it'll be fine. If you have another, a 5/5 or something, or another 6/6, then you won't have to worry about it. But in the case that it's like he's your only creature, then you're just screwed.
There's also issues with the fact that, like, if you're thinking Pauper General, he's not good because Pauper just does not have a lot of good landfall abusing abilities, so this guy's going to be pretty slow. Best case scenario, you're turn 7 playing, a Terramorphic Expanse and then playing 1 or 2 cards that get lands into play, but, I feel like you've already played all those cards to get to 6 mana to play this guy, but even still, you're blowing your load to play a bunch of lands, attack with stuff, and then what do you do the next turn? Like, I don't know. This guy he doesn't scale very well. You have to play all of your mana ramp to get him into play quickly, but then once you do that, you're out of mana ramp, so then he doesn't do anything except, like, at best, 1 land per turn, buffing your other guys a little bit. Green also has a lot of ways to give everything trample already. This card would have been way better like 10 years ago, before they had all these creatures that just say, like, your creatures have trample, which there's a lot of, even at common. But, I don't know. I'm disappointed in this guy. Fucking Gladiolus Amicitia, Amishitia, you could pronounce him.
Gladiator Americania.
Gladiator of America, you fucking suck.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I still think he's solid for an uncommon, but I mean, there's a ton of uncommons to never see play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think that's a really good point, Kyle, though, that you're gonna burn out on all your landfall triggers just trying to get to 6 mana so you can play him. Like if you're using him as part of your strategy to win, you want to get him out quick. So you're gonna burn out and then not be able to hit his trigger very often. So that's kind of frustrating. Although I guess so, yeah. In I mean, standard, they just did reprint Terramorphic Expanse in Tarkir Dragonstorm, right?
Yeah, this guy.
So that's, I mean,
I think
but
he's unplayable
yeah,
in standard.
he's just mid. Anywho,
Taylor, thoughts? None?
I was just waiting for you guys to think.
Shut
I
the
think
hell
what's
up.
crazy is that he searched for a land card, not a basic land card. That's cool.
That's a really good point. I didn't read.
Yeah,
glanced
that's
over
why
that.
when you
Any
said-
land is cool.
when you were describing the two things about him, I was like, and what does it say on there? Land, and then you're like, it doesn't. It says another. I was like, oh, we were thinking of other things. I was like, yeah, this card's awesome in EDH because he searches for any land. So I think that totally changes what his utility is. I do agree that him not being able to hit himself, like that's why he's only 6 mana, I guess, because otherwise, I don't know, a 6 mana 8/8 trample. Anywho,
I mean, yeah, that's just like that's not outside the realm of the current power
exactly.
level of cards.
But what I'll say
and
to
it's
you,
only temporary too. Like,
okay, here's a perfect example. I want to ask you: compare Garland to Gladiolus. They're designed to have the exact same goals. They're both signpost uncommons for the color pie. So the landfall will be the green-red mechanic. Black-red will be the surveil. So when you look at these two,
this guy, he does his stuff too late.
He's just too expensive.
That's what I'm saying too. Like,
and I was gonna say, Taylor, like, pointing out. I'm glad you pointed out that it was any land, not just basics, but kind of like similar to what Kyle and I were saying about the landfall triggers. By the time you have 6 mana to spend on him, you probably have all the colors you need and everything anyway. So, I don't know how much that really outweighs.
The only thing that was really cool about him is it lets you get there's a land cycle printed so this is not standard legal, so I guess it's not that cool. There's a bunch of fetch lands that auto sacrifice themselves when they enter. And that gets around that allowed you
so
to
you
triggers.
get 2 triggers.
Yeah, so
off
there's
of
like
them.
and there's that enchantment Spelunking, which is like the most broken enchantment of all time, where lands you control come into play untapped no matter what.
Oh, untapped, yeah, sure.
It's
okay, but okay. So then, like best case scenario, you spend 6 mana.
He's still dog shit,
and then you're spending 6 mana to give another creature +4/+4 and trample.
Yeah,
and you also have to consider
all of that other stuff.
Yeah, and like what a different card at this cost will be doing in that same deck. Like if you're spending 6 mana on a card in a deck that's abusing on-tap lands, it's not going to be this guy. It's going to be something that does something way better. All right, so he's all right. Even I could see him being used as. No, I can't see him being used in any format, actually. I don't know where you would play this guy. He needed to be like a 5 mana 5/5 or even a 4 mana 4/4. Something or able to target himself. He's just bad in pretty much every way.
I think a 4 mana 4/4 version of him with the same abilities would be significantly better.
Okay, I'm going to say that's all. We're nothing else to say about this dude. I know that I'm
gonna read the next one here. All right,
he is from Final Fantasy 15.
Oh yeah.
And he is just exactly what he looks like: big buff hero man, bodyguard to the main character. Nothing interesting. Moving on.
Is he extra tall? I don't even
know.
He's
He'd be tall like the way like a 6'3" guy is, like within reason, but he's a fucking huge dude.
Yeah, no, Kyle. The art made it look like he's a giant. Yeah. I totally thought this dude was a giant, even though his creature type is human, I guess.
Yeah, sure. No. Is this
Damn,
one...
I can't believe even fucking Gladiolumnus
He is a main character in Final Fantasy 15. Like he's one of the 4 main characters.
Wow.
So
okay.
I know every single card that on our list. I have something every single one.
Oh wow, okay. Nice. Do they call him by his full name?
Gladiolus?
Every time?
Yeah, his name's Gladiolus.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am going to read the next card now, called Jumbo Cactar. He is a 7 mana, 1/7, 5 colorless, double green, 1/7. His ability is, whenever this creature attacks, it gets plus 9,999 power and 0 toughness until end of turn. So he attacks as a 10,000 power, 7 toughness dude.
This is a Yu-Gi-Oh card,
dude.
right?
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't
just
know.
a
This
Yu-Gi-Oh
is
card.
really insane.
Do you want me?
So it's
I don't know what to even
it's
say.
just-
Like, what the? It just kills somebody instantly if you give him trample, which, you know,
it's essentially
you pair him with
reads-
Gladiolus.
It's like when this creature attacks, it gets death touch, and if it deals damage, end the game.
Yeah, that's basically what it says. Death touch and kills your opponent if it hits them.
Yeah, death touch and human death touch.
I mean, and that's what it is saying. I mean, like, without saying it literally, you know, it's because I agree. It's basically saying I have lethal on the board as long as this creature can attack. What are you gonna do about it? You know, and I think 7 mana. That's what you like.
Yes,
That's the green way of doing it. You know, they've printed.
like compare this to
2020s.
Craterhoof Behemoth. Craterhoof Behemoth is significantly stronger than this guy, which is hilarious to say because Craterhoof just ends the game when you play him. This guy, you have to play him, then you got to wait a turn, then you got to attack and have a way to give him trample by then. And yeah, he's a turn 8 kill. Assuming you put him in a deck where, like, yeah, you can give him trample pretty easily. Even if you gave him haste and trample, it's still like turn 7. I guess if you're in green, he can be ramped and all the pieces come together. You ramp him out on turn like 5 or 6 and give him trample and haste, which seems like a tall order, but it's possible. Like, yeah, this is just
you could just turn 6 or turn whatever, you play Gladiolus. Next turn you play Jumbo Cactar. Next turn you play land, give Cactar trample.
Yeah, so
and
you're
+2/+2, so he's a 10,002 power.
That's true. Good
and
point.
then you
Good
swing.
Point. Yeah. I mean, he's just like crazy fun.
I think this card is just a really fun casual card. That's obviously what all it is. They didn't like. I think it's and its power level. It's not powerful. Like any chump blocker, it is awful outside of attacking. It is hard to kill.
A 1/7 is a solid blocker, but he's funny.
Yeah, and
he's just a funny guy.
I do like that it's a card that ends games, and I think they should print cards that are designed just to win. I think this is a fair way to print it. Like, I love this card's design. I don't think it's strong, but I think it's cool, and like it will punish the decks that that do its own thing and try not to fuck with the opponent and like let them get away with it, and it'd be a fun build around to like beat somebody with a 10,007, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw the spoiler for this, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what?" But yeah, it's funny that it's actually one of the like most fair win strategies there is. Like, there's so many more cards that are way more broken. It's like you see that plus 9999, and you're like, "Oh, that's just stupid." But it's like, actually, it can be dealt with quite easily.
Yeah, it's so heads up. It gives you have so much time to respond to this thing. Craterhoof Behemoth, as you know, the other card I was kind of comparing this to as a big bomb game-ending green card. Like, you can't really you counter it, or the game is over. You know, like even if you kill Craterhoof after he enters, his ability is already triggered, and your whole board is going to get plus whatever, +5, +5, +10, +10. It's insane. So when you actually break him down, his stats are hilarious, but he really is not that strong, which is a crazy thing to say. But he just
yeah,
isn't.
And it's like when you think
he's just fun.
It's hard to cheat out and like even if you cheated him out, like lots of decks can deal with that on turn 3, no problem. Between having creatures and kill spells and bounce spells, whatever else, enchantments.
You need a few different things to make the Jumbo Cactar a win condition.
So
and that makes him very fair, just inherently.
So it sounds like we all agree with him. All right, the Cactar are a reoccurring enemy in the Final Fantasy franchise.
I know that much.
The regular ones do a move called 1,000 needles, which does 1,000 damage every time they attack, no matter what you do. Just that's how much damage it does. And then there's the jumbo, and the reason why this number is significant is in the base difficulty, you have a max of 9,999, meaning you can never survive it no matter what you do. So that's so I think that's a good way to capture the flavor of this is
that is.
You cannot do anything. If it hits you with its fists, you are dead. You cannot stop it. And I think it's good.
How was the balance of that enemy within the games?
They are ultra rare and very specific, always in deserts, and they're always you choose to fight them. They never fight you. The idea is eventually what you can do is a lot of times there'll be strategies to try to up your evasion to 100% or go lock it down, use blind, or wait until you can actually break the health limit and get your health higher than you can get up to 100,000 health instead of 10,000.
So it sounds like they're harder in the game to beat than they are.
Oh,
in
absolutely,
Magic, potentially.
absolutely, yes.
Okay. All right. So I am next, right? Yes.
No, you literally just read that card.
Yes, that's
I'm
correct.
Next.
Tay.
All right. Saz is that. If you're curious how it's pronounced, Saz.
Okay.
Saz's Chocobo. 1 mana. Okay, it's a 1 mana for an 0/1 bird, uncommon with landfall. When a land enters, put a 1/1 counter on it.
It's 1 green mana as well.
Oh, sorry,
come on, Taylor.
I didn't say
Let's
green
get with
mana. Come on, I could see it's green, so they should know that I can see that it's green. Yeah, this is why it was spoiled because it's a Chocobo specifically, which is just the bird of the franchise. They're in every single Final Fantasy. That's it. That's just They don't have camels. They have Chocobos. So they can fly. That's why they spoiled it specifically to show a specific Chocobo from Final Fantasy 13, and that landfall is in the set. And it seems like it's a good 1-drop in the landfall decks because their counters are good. But I don't know. It's just that's fine.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that this card is busted.
That's what I said. It was insane.
Yeah,
Didn't you hear me?
Yeah, it's good. I like
this
it a lot.
card is fucking crazy. A 1 mana 0/1 that landfalls with permanent power toughness boost. To give you a comparison, there was a card in original Zendikar called Step Lynx. It was a 1 white mana 0/1, and its ability was landfall. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. That card was a staple in the landfall kind of aggro Selesnya decks. Because, well, of course they had fetch lands at the time, which meant this thing could attack for 4 or 6 damage on, turn 2, which is significantly stronger than this. However, the difference being this power being permanent versus the temporary power of a Step Lynx, I think they're very comparable. I can't see a world where this card isn't ridiculously powerful. I mean, turn 1 you play this, turn 2 you play any kind of fetch land, and it's a 2/3. The turn after that, I mean, this thing is just going to scale like crazy, and they're really, really good into each other. Any kind of counter synergy or proliferating makes this crazy. I don't know. I don't know what, as we've talked about many times, I don't know what the formats look like exactly, but this is the type of card that's okay, you build around this thing. You put this in your landfall standard deck if landfall is an actual.
I don't know. Are there many green decks that you? Or in standard, are there any green decks where you wouldn't want this as your 1-drop? I feel like this is just good. It's just I don't know. I like it a lot.
Okay, why don't you guys marry it, nerds?
Maybe I will.
I will say, Taylor, of knowing nothing about the Final Fantasy franchise, I did recognize the name Chocobo, and I knew that it was a type of bird.
Wow, look at you! I'm so proud of you.
So that's that's maybe the strongest piece of the franchise.
I knew 3 things: Cloud, Sephiroth, and that Chocobos exist. That's right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say. It's a simple card, but it seems exceptionally strong, and it'll probably be very good.
Yeah. Okay. On to the next one.
Yep.
On to the next.
D-boy.
All right, it's me. Okay, Sephiroth, Planet's Heir. He's a 6 mana. Wait, is Sephiroth a boy or a girl? I actually don't know.
He's a guy.
He's a guy. All right, Sephiroth, Planet's Heir. He is a 6 mana 4/4. He's 4 generic, 1 blue and 1 black mana. He's a legendary creature with the type Human Avatar Soldier.
Okay.
Which I don't know how often I see Avatar, but
It's kind of
so he has Vigilance. Oh, okay. He has Vigilance when he enters. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on Sephiroth. That's really good. I like the little entry board wipe that buffs him. I mean, not every deck it's not gonna do much against every opponent depending on what they have, but being able to wipe out your opponent's little weenies and, depending on the game, you can get them up to, like a 10/10 on entry if you're lucky. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew more about the standard and modern metas so I could comment on that, but I think he would be really. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say he's certainly a EDH kind of card. He's not going to be. Most of these cards are not going to be standard playable. A couple of them like Cecil, Emmett, the Chocobo, but everything else is going to be just limited or EDH. Even in EDH, this guy's. Sephiroth is just kind of a stinker. It's kind of sad to see him and Cloud
by the way,
so weak. But
this Sephiroth was, I think, the one that is going in those like commander deck or decks.
I think this other Cloud. I think the Cloud is too. Actually,
they're designed to be worse than the normal power level, so that might be why this. I'm gonna double check where this one came from.
Oh, so it's like the cheap tier pre-con decks or something?
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and that would explain why both Cloud and Sephiroth are kind of equal in their shittiness, because you compare Sephiroth to something like Massacre Worm, and Massacre Worm just shits all over this Sephiroth.
Yeah, actually, it is the starter kits. The starter kit has that Cloud and that Sephiroth. That's why they're so powered down.
That's why they're so bad. Okay, so we'll have to see what the actual ones are, because these two are, they're pretty poopy. Like, Sephiroth, you kill 3 to 5 creatures and he becomes an 8/8 vigilance. Like, cool, but he's not evasive.
Massacre Girl did it better.
Yeah, Massacre Worm is just a win condition. Like, against certain enemies, it literally wins the game. Massacre Worm is a 6 mana 6/5. When he enters, your opponent's creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. But when an opponent's creature dies, your opponent loses 2 life. That's what Massacre Worm does. So, like, if it's late in the game and your opponent has 3, even 4 creatures that Massacre Worm can kill, you're nuking them for, like, 8 damage. Sometimes he'll win the game by himself. In EDH, you play this against a weenie deck, and they're going to take 50 damage immediately. And if they don't outright die from him, their board is going to be wiped. Like, Massacre Worm is an insane card. He's a win condition on top of a one-sided board wipe. This Sephiroth, Massacre Worm, also, you can do the thing where, like, if you play him and he has no effect, you can then board wipe, and if he dies with everything else that dies, he still gets his effect off, and you can kill your opponent that way. Like, Sephiroth just has no, kind of versatility, flexibility. Just being a big, vigilant creature isn't really good. I don't know, maybe we should, These cards, we know they're kind of way powered down bad cards anyway, so they're probably not even worth talking about too much.
Yeah.
Now that I think
about it. You can talk about the flavor text though, Kyle.
This is the end for all of you.
So
perfect.
In universe, he does that. He literally burns down an entire village and kills every individual there.
Right. Well, it should
only
say
the weak ones,
it should say in parentheses
-2/-2.
Yeah, true. Any of the big guys are like, the fire! Oh, I'm actually okay. Cool. Now, Cloud counters his flavor text beautifully. Listen to this, everyone. It's not over yet. This isn't the end. So you see how they pair well together. Sephiroth, he says, "This is the end for all of you." And then Cloud retorts with, "It's not over yet. This isn't the end." So you see the beautiful marriage between these two characters as hero and villain. It's really, 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 really interesting and good.
Well, we actually don't know anything. You're inferring a lot here, Kyle. Maybe Cloud says his thing first.
Infer or inflow? What do you think I'm doing?
You're inferring.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Never mind.
All right. Tay,
Oh, is
the
it
tasty
me?
boy.
No, it can't
No,
be.
it's me.
Yeah, it's
I
you.
don't know what the order is.
Jesus,
I'm
you're
so
the only
confused.
one who's doing it wrong.
I know I am. I can't keep up.
I really
There's
don't
3 of
wanna
us.
know
That's
you
1, then
anymore.
2, and I don't know what the that's so many numbers.
No, it's Tay-Tay's lore time.
True.
I-
Dude.
I-
What do you have to tell us about Seraphoth?
That he's from Final Fantasy VII, and that he's not 100% human. He's part human. There's a
That's
whole
the avatar right there.
There's a the planet that the game takes place on, like, is a literal living, like, kind of soul, and it had like kind of an avatar that conceived a child. That child was then cloned a bunch. He's a clone, and when he found out, it's a very complicated, but it's a pro Earth, anti like doing damage to the planet. Like, you have to take care of the planet is the message of it. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, and
I'll take that.
I think they
appreciate
stole that idea from Star Wars.
but
Clone Wars.
the idea is that this dude's a clone of like an ancient race of like half ancestral beings, and when he finds out, he kind of snaps and goes crazy. Like,
I don't want to be an ancient ancestral being. No.
It's like that Eminem song where he goes "go crazy" and does that like Pee Wee Herman laugh. Dude, trust me, that goes hard. Yeah, dude, go crazy.
It's just like that Eminem
Yeah,
song.
I don't know what. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for agreeing.
You know what's funny is I thought of literal M&Ms, like the commercial.
Okay,
My mind is different.
So goddamn
I'm just
white,
built.
too.
I'm built different, as they say.
Taylor's is talking about the real Slim Shady.
E-Minum. Yes, I love E-Minum.
God,
so
embarrassing. Holy.
Next card is Side Quest: Catch a Fish. It's a 2 mana. It's 3 mana, 2 colorless, and a white. It's an enchantment. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's an artifact or creature, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you put a card into your hand this way, create a food token and transform it. The backside is a land. It taps for 1 white, and it has 3 tap, sack an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. This is kind of a cool card. A 3-drop enchantment that is kind of card advantage. It flips after the very first reveal, so, in theory, on turn 4, you flip this into a land, kind of accelerates you, it's a utility land, so it has some value later. It also creates the food that you can then flip over to sacrifice to buff your team. It's kind of simple. I feel like this probably would have been better suited as a 2-drop. Maybe it would have been too good, but, yeah, it's okay. It's fine. I don't know. Enchantment that flips.
It's good. I think 2-drop would definitely be too good. I don't know. I think it's well costed. I love the enchantment flipping into a land. I think that's a nice ramp in a color that doesn't have a lot of that, obviously.
True.
I wish that it didn't flip on the first reveal, but
yeah, that you could kind of milk it for more.
If you could just stock up food tokens and then flip it and give, counters to your team every turn, I think that would just be too good. So I think it's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's good enough to be like a 4 of in standard or anything. But
I think about. I don't know if this is an incorrect comparison, Taylor. You might remember. What is that? It was from Dominaria standard. It was a 2-cost saga, and when it entered, you could search your library for a plains, put it into your hand. Then the next one was like you gain 2 life, and then the final one.
So
what did it?
That one, then you get to target something in your graveyard with converted mana of 2 or less, and put into play tap.
Really?
No, the one you're thinking from is Theros. It's from Theros. It creates a wall. It gains you life, and it gets you a plains into your hands.
Yes.
That's
okay. Hold on. Let me.
I know the exact one. I don't remember the order, but I do know the one you're talking about. I was thinking of
the birth of Meletis.
Yeah.
It's a 2 mana. Search your library for a basic plains. Put it into your hand. Create a 0/4 colorless wall artifact. Then gain 2 life. Like comparing the card I just read to that one, I think this card is way worse. Which is why in my head I was like, I think this should be a 2-drop. Because Birth of Meletis is a 2-drop. So on turn 2, getting lands to guarantee you have a 3rd land on your turn 3 is really strong. Then on turn 3, for no cost, you're getting a 0/4 wall. I mean, that thing, it's just so hard to attack through, no matter what deck you are. Like, that is a 0/4 on turn 3 is really tough to get through. Plus, you've gotten the card advantage of getting a land, and then the little gain 2 life at the end is just a little bonus. But yeah, 2 mana, it creates no, it is an artifact. Okay. Yeah, this one gets you a land and it creates an artifact. Very similar to what this one does, right? It creates a food and gives you a land. This one is more raw acceleration because you don't, you play the thing and then it flips into a land. You don't have to play the land that you get into your hand, whatever. But I think these two are similar, and I think the Birth of Meletis being 2 mana is what made it so strong and played. Whereas this being a 3-drop, I know it gets you an artifact or a creature, which could potentially be stronger, but it could also whiff. You could reveal a land or see a land on top of your deck, and then it sits here and does nothing. Because the thing is, if this doesn't put a card into your hand, it literally does nothing. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card. If it's an artifact or creature, then you can reveal it, put it into your hand, then you get a food, then you flip it. So if you are looking at cards that do not meet the criteria of artifact or creature, so if you're seeing more enchantments, if you're seeing more lands, this card does literally nothing. Because you don't even have the option to put the card on the bottom. Like, you literally just get to look. And depending on what it is, it could flip. So, yeah, okay, that's my long spiel about why I think this kind of card is just bad. It's too slow.
Yeah. I could see that. I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
Taylor?
I don't have I like enchantments turning into lands is an interesting way, but I agree it's not as strong as some previous ones. It's cool.
And that other card I read was an uncommon as well. So like, it's not like I'm comparing a rare to something. Like these both, I think that Birth of Meletis is an extremely similar card to what this did, but the Birth of Meletis just did so much more and basically for free. And
yeah, but this has a utility land. It's not just a land.
Yeah, that's true. But
I think time will tell with it. I think on paper you are correct that overall you probably want the discount and the multifunctionality of the other thing over a land that maybe will give you an ability once that might be relevant.
Right, yeah, exactly.
In a format where you could pick, I would pick the former. But is this card in a vacuum good? It's a 3-mana ramp. I feel like 3-mana ramp is okay. I think it's not aggressively costed. I'll put it that way. And it comes with possibly a draw card. Like if it's draw a card, get a land, then this thing is good. So this to me feels like it's just not very aggressively costed or pushed or anything.
I think it's not even I think it's too unpredictable because and you're calling it 3-mana ramp, but like Kyle said, it's not ramp unless you can actually flip it. So I think it's I don't know. If I wanted to use it for ramp, I would be scared of not being able to flip it,
right.
And then
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess it's ramping the get to 7 mana on turn 4 or 5 strategy, not the use this as a guaranteed land. You'd have to but I agree that it's still unpredictable. It's too. You shouldn't look at it as ramp.
Yeah, which I want to look at it as ramp.
No,
but
it's
I can't.
that's right. Yeah, it's not ramp. Card. It's like it's just a utility land later, which then makes it even worse because by the time you can realistically flip this, you might not need that ramp anymore. Because if you think about the standard deck construction of 24 lands, that already immediately means you have basically a 1 in 2.5 chance for this to not flip every turn. Disregarding, you revealing more enchantments, which in an enchantment, white enchantments is a very common archetype. This is an enchantment. It would probably go in a deck like that. Yeah, I could see this thing just not flipping for 3 turns and being really frustrating. And yeah, it's no good. All right, Taylor, what's the lore for side quest catching a fish?
You catch fish in a lot of side quests. This is a reference specifically to Final Fantasy 15. It's art from that video game with Gladiolus. That's his party that he hangs out with.
Oh, is that him right there
catching
the fish?
Well, he hosted a party where they caught fish.
Noctis is the main character, and that's who is fishing because Noctis does the fishing.
That's deep lore. I love that you know
Well,
that.
the flavor gives that away if you'll read it.
Oh my
for us,
god,
Kyle.
you're so right.
Yeah.
My
See?
question is answered. It said, dude, what the fuck? This is so weird. I am Noctis, Prince of Lucius and King of Fishing. Thank you.
Look,
Damn.
reading the card explains
I'm-
the card, Kyle.
Dude, I'm one of those idiots that like needs the golden, brightly lit trail directly to where my quest tells me to go because I'm not going to figure out.
yeah, but you make
clues.
fun of games that
Like,
put
just
add
tell me
it.
where to go.
Yeah, That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, it's so
I'm
funny.
an insatiable gamer. What can I say? All right, Taylor, read us the next big boy.
I'm
here.
glad I get to represent Sin.
Yeah.
Spear as punishment. 4 colorless, black, green, blue, Sultai. It's a legendary Leviathan avatar. I don't see very many avatars. 3rd avatar this set.
Yep.
It is a 7/7 flying creature. Whenever Sin enters or attacks, exile a permanent card from your graveyard at random. Then create a tapped token that's a copy of that card. If the exiled card is a land, you get to do this process again.
I don't know if you're letting this. Do you have an opinion on this card?
I don't know what to think of
You
it
thinking?
then, and I don't know what to think of it now.
Dude,
Then
this card's sweet as fuck.
I was gonna say I'll go ahead and agree with that. I think this is a pretty fucking cool bomb kind of card. I think it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say more recently, Atraxa is a 7-drop that she was 7, right? But she wasn't Sultai. She was
She's everything
Ah.
except white, I think.
Oh, she is white. She's Sultai plus white, so she's minus red.
That's
what
right,
she
that's
is,
right,
minus
that's
red.
right, that's right.
But she is a 7-drop. She's really strong though because she enters and like reveals the top 10 cards of your library, and then you get to play from there. This guy is sort of inverted. He's less color restrictive, but he plays from your graveyard, which in Sultai colors is bound to be full of stuff. It gets around, you slamming this huge bomb and then whiffing on a land. It just lets you keep doing this effect if you keep hitting lands. Best case scenario, you hit a land, repeat the process, then hit, a big, nice thing. The tokens are tapped, but this also then triggers again on attack, which I know the new Atraxa does not. She only triggers on ETB, and then you, flicker her. Was that the gimmick, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this guy compares somewhat favorably to the new Atraxa. It's probably worse, but I like it more, and it's more fun and cool, because I'm a certified Atraxa hater. Sick of that bitch. But this dude is dope as hell.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I also love the art. I'm guessing this is from the game, but it's like a fucking demonic axolotl or something.
Yeah,
It does look like that.
It's a giant Leviathan flying through the air. And it opens its mouth. That's art from the game. Actually,
Terrifying.
I think it's art in
No,
similar to
someone
it's
made this
painted,
art,
yes.
but
It's based off
yeah.
what he looks like in
Or
the
it's
game.
I figured it's not like a screenshot of a game, but I meant like it's like we're representing a scene from a game or something. No, this card's sweet. Yeah. I mean, it's a 7-mana 7. He's a 7/7 flyer. Like you're gonna want to attack with him, and then every time you attack, you just get something back from your graveyard.
I guess why I was pausing was like, is 7 mana, and then is it the effect strong enough to justify it being 7 mana? And I think that you're right that being in Sultai kind of answers that question of like, yeah. And
Yep, I think so.
There's no misses, right? Because like if you hit a land, you just get to go again.
Yeah,
and
it
goes for permanents too, so it skips over spells that you might not want to cast again. It just gets the juicy stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I feel like they could have definitely done it where it's like
you cast
exile a card at
something.
random. If it's a permanent, then make a copy of it or whatever. But nope, they just like, you get whatever permanent that's in there, you get it.
Now, I will maybe take back what I said that this compares favorably to Atraxa, because reading Atraxa, I
don't know what you thought.
So it's Atraxa, Grand Unifier. I just didn't realize how many fucking keywords she had. She has Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, 7/7. She fucking eats this dude for breakfast, man. Like,
Yeah, that's fucked up.
She wins the game even outside of her ETB. Those keywords are crazy. And then her ETB is reveal the top 10 of your library for each card type. Put a card of that type among them into your hand. So you don't play them, but like you're just going to fill your hand with a ton of cards and give you juice. This guy, you know, he puts the shit into play directly, but it's way less. You know, sometimes you're going to play him and just hit a good card or hit a permanent that's not a land, put it into play. It is tapped. Then you have to attack with him again to do it again. So he's a bit slower. I think it's fair to say he's a lot worse than the Atraxa, but
yeah,
I still like him. I like his flavor.
I like him
He's
a lot.
cool.
I think he would. I don't know how he would do as a commander. I think he'd be good as like a in the 99 more so
He
than
would,
being his own commander.
But doing his effect on attack definitely helps push him into a
Yes,
territory
100%.
of.
Yeah,
And he's a
but I mean,
7/7
there's some-
flyer. He'll just win the game sometimes by himself without his
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
really.
He doesn't have the vigilance. He doesn't have the death touch.
Right.
But like, yeah, 7/7 flyers still. No matter how much life you have, that puts you on a clock. Cool.
Yeah.
What's the lore drop
The
for us, Taylor?
best boss from the best Final Fantasy boss of the game, Final Fantasy X. It is basically this like divine punishment that the collective world basically gets every so often that creates a bunch of souls that it absorbs and then goes into hiding, and then as people just die, it summons it back, and it's just a very nasty, vicious cycle, which is why it takes stuff from graveyards, because it eats basically the souls of dead people and then creates monsters, and that's how it creates a copy of something. And if it's,
Dude, that's dope.
so I think it is, and it's a giant creature that flies, so I think they did a pretty good representing it in just mechanics. So yeah, send rules.
Sweet. Yeah,
Wow.
that's cool.
Yeah, and like making it so that his kind of flavor isn't ruined if you hit a land. They just let you keep doing it until you hit something that's actually like reanimated.
Yeah,
which
something
is
that
what it
was
sounds like Sin
physically
does.
there on the planet. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's very cool.
Damn, what a beast! I like that guy.
My buddy.
He would have been better if he was mythic like Atraxa. I'll also
I
say
am
that.
surprised he's not mythic, but that's all right.
He needs more keywords to be mythic,
That's
or he
true.
would need to like
He does one
guaranteed
thing,
do his
yeah.
ability 3 times or something.
If you put a land into play, target opponent loses 49 life or something like that.
yeah,
that seems to be
Yeah.
probably fair.
that sounds right. That sounds really fair and
I
balanced.
mean, there's a 10,000
Daniel?
power attacker, so I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
trying
true.
to balance it around that.
Yeah, we needed the 10,000
Yeah.
cards card.
I think I read that, so that's
Okay.
Daniel from the next one.
Yeah, it is.
All right, sounds good. So the next one is Stiltskin Moogle Merchant, or as Kyle would probably say, Gliltskin Gloogle Glurchant.
No, I don't
Well,
think he would ever.
um,
That was really embarrassing. Why would you say that? Kyle would never.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not that stupid.
he definitely would. It's a 1 white mana 1/2 legendary creature. He's a Moogle, which I'm guessing is a new creature type for Magic.
Yeah.
He's got lifelink, and he's got a 2 mana tap ability. Target opponent gains control of another target permanent you control. If they do, you draw a card. Yeah, he's cool. I don't know. I don't get that ability. I need to think about that more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure what to make of this guy. He's a bit
I don't-
strange.
yeah,
A 1/2 lifelink for 1 is fine.
Yeah, he's a good just little
I don't know.
1-drop.
Late
But
game,
he's a legendary.
yeah, true. So he doesn't stack well. I mean, late game, you give them lands you don't really need anymore, or maybe you've created like some tokens that you don't care about. I don't know. I know you draw a card, but like compare this to just making a clue token, right? Clue token is 2 mana, sack, draw a card. That's effectively what this is. 2 mana, give your opponent something, draw a card.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems
I don't
pretty
know.
bad.
It's weird. Yeah, and I guess you're right. Just giving you can pay 2, and then one of the lands you just tapped, you can give them that. So it's like you're not really losing too much, but it's not until end of turn. You're just giving them
Yeah.
control.
Oh, it's forever. Yeah.
So, like,
It's a combo
yeah, I don't
card is all
know.
I can think of.
But what
Yeah,
combo? There's some EDH
Grave
generals
Pact
that
or whatever.
Grave Pact. Oh, sure. Yeah. All right.
No,
You're
that-
right.
because
Is
there's
that illegal?
There are definitely cards that are like, while you control this, bad things happen. I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
but
that's
they're-
fair.
They
Yeah.
exist, but it's super, super narrow.
Yeah, give your opponent something with like, a cumulative upkeep or something like that, something that makes them sacrifice shit every turn or whatever. But um, yeah, I don't
The
know.
one that you
I
mentioned, the enchantments that are usually like pick one that hasn't been chosen and it's a bunch of good effects, and then the last one is you lose the game. Yeah, like
yeah,
you gift them that on the last turn, and then they just lose the game. That's
yeah.
kind of fun. And a 1/2 lifelink, yeah, he's fine if you want to give him equipments or enchantments or something, but we've seen better 1-drops. He's all right.
I'd never understand these types of cards, so I don't know. I like if he's good, it's in a way that I couldn't possibly think of. So I'm just gonna. I have nothing to add other than.
And actually, it's almost card disadvantage because you lose a permanent, your opponent gains a permanent, but then you draw a card. So you're going -1 permanent to gain +1 card, so you're breaking even, but then your opponent just gained a card straight up. So it's
And
actually
you also
just
put
+1 card
of the
advantage to your
mana.
opponent.
It costs you 2 mana, it costs them 0.
Yes.
And you're tapping out your little life link.
Yes.
Which is the most powerful thing in the game.
And when you're drawing that card, you have no clue what you're going to draw.
Yeah,
so
it could
it's
be
like,
the land that you just gave them, and so
and
Exactly.
the card you
more,
draw
like,
might make your hand weigh so much you accidentally drop it onto the table and reveal all the cards to your opponent.
fucking break your toe if you drop it on your foot. Oh no!
And
Yeah,
then your girlfriend will see you,
weirdo.
leave you, and take all your money, and you'll become homeless. So,
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's a liability.
if you play this card, you will become homeless.
Stiltskin, 2 mana tap, you become homeless and your girlfriend hates you.
Oh, dude. Whoa, dude. Magic cards are getting weird.
What's the
That's
lore?
the new unhinged
Lore
set.
is this guy is a merchant. So all the Moogles are merchants is a reoccurring thing, but this guy is specifically in Final Fantasy 9. I didn't play 9, but it's a throwback to the classics. He is just like a merchant you see multiple times throughout the game, but you give him stuff to give to other people, like mail. Like you give him mail and he gives it to someone else. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And also, he will offer you something if you buy all of the goods that he currently is selling. So
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
like
close but
in
not,
Magic stuff, but
but
they could have done something more. Like it should have been like give your opponent control of a permanent, draw a card, and then maybe make some kind of.
He needed to have been involved. It's
know.
just weird that he's facilitating other people trading and not being the one. He should get something. Like to me, the fact that you get to draw a card instead of the creature being like he should also get a 1/1 counter or an experience token. And at certain experience levels, I don't know, the traits become better for you or something. You know what I mean? Like it just
Or they could have done it like your opponent gets a treasure token and you draw a card or something like that.
Something. I kind of like that idea. Is like you pay them for. That's actually a really clean way of doing that because like you were giving them money for a new item, aka a new card.
Yeah. If it was just like 2 mana tap, target opponent gains a treasure token, you draw a card.
I like that feels like a really good like in a commander design focus of because that's the other thing. This might be a group hug. Like this is awesome in like a 2v2 or like in a format where you're working with somebody to like make an optimal trade or like a creature that is just like some janky like it's just a 1/1 and like this is great in a tokens deck actually. Give them a 1/1 creature, draw a card. Like is that worth it?
Fair, yeah.
2 mana tap, give it an
This
opponent.
card, like he literally could have said 2 mana tap, draw a card, and he still wouldn't have been that good.
It does.
You're right.
That's
Kyle.
why I'm like the fact that the trade. They're trying to say that you can do something that is worth spending.
They better
on.
print
Something.
They better print stuff that's like kind of bad for you, and then you can give it to your opponents. That's the only thing I can think of is they're going to do something like that. But I'm just going to read the next one here.
Do it.
This is a crazy one, kind of. The card is Summon Shiva. It is a 5 mana enchantment creature saga. It's a 4/5, and the saga abilities are for 1 and 2. Tap target creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it, and then number 3 is draw a card for each tapped creature your opponents control. I don't know, probably bad.
The card's bad. The card is bad.
Really slow and expensive.
But what?
Hold on, let me think.
Bad,
let me think.
Is it cool?
Yeah.
Yes.
You play it, it taps it, puts a stun counter on it. Then on your turn, number 2, no, you play it. Then on their turn, the stun counter's removed. Then on your turn, this is number 2, you tap a different creature. Then you pass back to them, and the first creature you stun becomes untapped. So this only draws you 1 card in a vacuum.
Yeah, I think
terrible.
I think
needed to put 2 stun counters, or I mean, it is an uncommon, so whatever. I guess power level can be variable, and it's I don't know.
I'm also thinking too,
trash.
like that's right before that third turn. If your opponent swings in at you with 3 or 4 creatures, that's going to be more creatures that are tapped. Obviously, you're going to draw off of.
And
so
it's a good
so
blocker
it does kind
at
of
4/5.
Yeah, it's a good blocker, and I feel like that for that one turn where any tapped creature you're going to draw a card off of, that's going to that late in the game, that's going to be turn 8 or whatever.
Turn 5, 6, it'll be turn 7. It'll discourage them from attacking on turn 7.
Yeah, but at that point, like they might have enough, flyers and shit that it doesn't really matter, and they can just swing for lethal and not care.
Yeah, I can't see this being good in Constructed in any capacity. I can't see this being good in EDH because with the timing of sagas, it gives your opponents a lot of time to work around it, to kill this, because it is also a creature. So even though it is an enchantment saga, it is a creature too. So it's way easier to kill because it can die to enchantment destruction, and now it can die to creature destruction. So this thing is going to be wildly easy to destroy. I don't see a format where this is good. It's just bad.
Yeah, no, I think it's bad, but it is very cool in my opinion. The saga creature is weird, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, why, Taylor? Why did they choose Shiva to be a saga creature enchantment?
So that's obvious. This is how they're representing these summons in Final Fantasy, because it's Summon, Cola, Shiva. So it's gonna be Summon, Cola, each of them, and the idea is the way Final Fantasy summons always work is they're like an ultra mega attack. You just summon them, they do a massive hit and leave. So that's what they're representing here, is they go in and so Heavenly Strike is her like kind of basic attack, and so in Final Fantasy X you can summon them and they would have like a normal move and then their limit break. So Shiva's is like a slow, and then her big ultimate attack is Diamond Dust, her iconic does ice damage to everyone, which doesn't
really... 1,000,000 fucking diamonds.
Yeah. And then, so the idea is they're just representing that they come in, they hit hard, and then they leave. Cause obviously those effects.
This chick fucking doesn't hit anything for anything.
And the big thing though, Kyle, is that Shiva is always the first summon encountered in Final Fantasy games. Shouldn't say always. So I'd say like in majority of them. If she's not the first, she's within the first 3 in the like elemental fire, ice, wind triangle. So it is kind of like the starter one, the most basic, the one you get rid of like right away. So it's kind of thematically fitting that that's the one spoiled and is the weakest of them all.
That's fair.
So,
well, I would like to apologize. I did laugh at your reference. I just had my mic muted.
I don't even know what you were referencing, but I was trying because
Arrested Development.
I've never heard you
with the diamond cream, and then Lindsay is like 1,000,000 fucking diamonds, and Michael's like, okay. You actually responded how Michael does to Lindsay, which is funny. He just
I
sits there and says, okay.
His stone face.
Yeah.
Yep, I definitely did that on purpose. So I'm glad
I figured.
Picked up on that.
Yeah, you played the character well.
All right, Taylor, read our next guy, who I'm excited about.
Tonberry. This is a 1-mana uncommon creature, a salamander horror. That's the name of my new ska band. Let's see. This creature enters tapped.
What color is he, Taylor, you fucker?
1 black mana, because he's just...
He's 1 mana.
I always forget the 1 black mana. Look.
he's just 1 mana.
That's so nice now.
I think I didn't say Shiva's colors either. I might have been
I think
feeding
you did
myself
skip
some
it.
shit here. Yeah,
100%.
she's 3 mana double blue. That's by the way, Shiva. Anyway, Tonberry, 1 black. Go ahead.
1 black mana. It's a 2/1 salamander horror. This creature enters tap with a stun counter on it. Chef's Knife. During your turn, this creature has first strike and death touch.
Yeah, buddy, I love that combination. Oh man.
Yeah. He's a little marauder with that knife, dude.
Yeah, he's looking fierce.
He's looking
Spooky.
real fierce. First strike death touch is possibly the best 2 keyword combo in the game, or one of the best.
Yeah.
That stun counter sucks ass though.
I mean, I don't mind it as
But I mean,
a one drop uncommon, like in an aggro
as
deck.
a
This is
one
good.
drop,
I guess
if you get him
he
on turn 1 or turn 2, it's no big deal.
I don't know. Okay, if you play him turn 1, he doesn't attack until turn 3, and by then he's a 2/1 first strike death toucher. So you're basically just almost guaranteeing he's doing 2 damage every turn, which is pretty solid. I mean, he will be so annoying to deal with if you don't have,
It's true.
light burn or like even using an entire kill spell on this guy. You had a 2/1 one drop and they're using their kill spells on this thing because it's annoying. Like that's really good. But
Yeah.
if you compare him to Cecil, he's like a way worse version of Cecil, I think. But he is uncommon. I do love first strike death touch. I think he's good in aggro decks. There's those like historically in the aggro decks, black aggro decks, they play cards that are like when a 1/2 for 1, and when it attacks, your opponent loses a life. Like cards that simple often get played in black aggro decks, and so something like this I think will fit right in because it's not guaranteed to do damage, but it's pretty damn close. It will.
Yeah.
It'll be awful late game if you have this. If you're like on the back foot and you play this on turn 4, you're not able to have a blocker for 2 turns, and then he's just a chump blocker.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about the stun counter. Is like if you play him on turn 1, 2, 3, it's probably fine. But if you're playing him and you need a blocker and they already have a threat out, you're done.
Damn, that stun counter might actually really make him way worse than I thought. Entering tapped is can be shitty, but the stun counter might make him really, really bad. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Taylor?
Yeah, he's dog shit.
Thoughts?
I don't really think he's redeemable.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's just a very bad and maybe playable in your limited deck as a one of. I just don't like. Yeah, first strike death touch is a nasty combo, but like, do you need that combo in your deck so bad that you're gonna make this playable? I guess, but I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah, maybe he's not as good as I thought.
He's only
I just
on
love
your
first
turn.
strike and death touch. It's so fun.
It's
and it is only on your turn. But
then you sure, I'll take 2 damage. Sure, you got it, buddy. Like I don't know.
But that's like the whole thing. That type of chip damage is what makes decks like this work. And when you have first strike death touch, like that's what I keep reiterating. This is almost guaranteed damage. They need an indestructible blocker, and by then you've won the game. You've either won the game or lost the game.
They need 1 stray damage. This thing has 1 toughness.
I know.
So
but
I just don't see a world where we can get him in a good enough spot. Because I agree with you on paper. I just think it's too easy to accidentally take him out.
Especially after reading Cecil, like Cecil occupying the same one drop black slot that this card probably would. It's all right.
Lore-wise, it's very, very, very good because the way it works is he's just this little freak with a lantern and this knife. And for the first 2 turns, it just says watching you, and you can attack him. And eventually what happens is then on his turns, he will do like the more damage he took, the more damage he will do back to you. It's usually like a 1-hit kill. His only attack is called Vendetta, and it just like instantly kills you the more damage. Oh, that's what it is. It's for every enemy you've killed in the entire game up to that point. He does more damage. So it's a payback.
That's cool.
Like that's the guiding the lost souls is kind of like he's the vengeance for all the dead monsters you've killed. But he always takes like 2 turns before he'll start attacking you. Then every turn it's just like a 1-hit kill.
That's so crazy perfect. I actually love that.
Yeah, dude, Final Fantasy has a lot of really
little
cool
fucking freak,
little like weird monsters and stuff like that. So that's what the Tomberries are. Little freaks.
They are little fucking freaks.
They're scary. They usually drop very
like
important
that.
material, end game, late game stuff. But they're in a lot of Final Fantasy games.
All right, Daniel. Next,
And
you
last,
got the final card of the day.
the final fantasy card.
Yep.
All right,
They're
so
not releasing
last
anymore.
one is another legendary creature. It's Zeldinkt. He's a 3 mana, 2 generic mana, 1 red mana. He's a 0/3 legendary human monk. His abilities read: you may play an additional land on each of your turns. He gets +1/+0 for each land you control. And at the beginning of your end step, return a land you control to its owner's hand. I think this card is really good. I was also looking back at Gladiolus and Mysidia, and I think these two cards go so well together. Um, but yeah, I think it's clear the red, you're right, Taylor, the red-green landfall mechanic is going to be big.
Mhm.
I think for a 3-drop, this guy is real
I mean,
stacked.
just with the Chocobo, this guy's crazy. I think the
Yeah,
returning a land at the beginning of your end step could be annoying, so he doesn't actually accelerate you, right? Because the extra land you're playing just gets bounced back to your hand. But that almost makes him better because you get 2 land drops every turn. You know, land for turn, extra land, he bounces the land. So as long as you know, just have like 1 extra land to play every turn, he will be bouncing back the land. He basically gives you a free landfall trigger every single turn, and
exactly.
that's really, really strong.
Yeah.
He does give
Um,
you like minor acceleration too, right? Like you play him on turn 3, play an extra land, maybe play a Chocobo, and then bounce that land. Then on turn 4, you play your land for turn, then play the extra land, so you actually have 5, so you can tap down 5, play a kind of bigger bomb card on turn 4, then bounce one of those lands that you played back to your hand. So he's really cool. He's very versatile. He is kind of ramp, but not really, but then also gives you extra landfall triggers to, and he himself scales up, obviously, as well. So this guy's
no, I
really
think
cool. I really
he's
like this
cool. I
card.
think he's more, more like, yeah, you said versatile. I think he's like just more engaging than I feel like a lot of the landfall cards are. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
there's more going on here.
I don't know if this pairing of abilities has ever been in the game, but the play an extra land on each turn, then bounce a land at the end of your turn. I can't remember if I've seen that on a card, but I actually really like that combo of abilities. It's like it's very cute and interesting and very flavorful and strong. It's cool. He's dope.
Yeah, I like him.
We love Mr. Dinked.
Big dinked.
Dinked and donked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, when are we have Zell dinked. Next we get Zell donked. I hope.
This is
Pray.
also in a game that isn't voiced, so I don't know how to pronounce his name. So you might be correct. But from Final Fantasy VIII, he is as annoying as he looks like he would be.
Yeah, his art is awful. I hate this guy though.
He is like the kung fu kind of monk that you imagine, like D&D kind of monk. So like his overdrive is like doing a bunch of like kind of like button sequence combos to do these crazy fucking like uppercuts into the outer space and then dive kick them back into earth kind of shit. So I think they're trying to represent like as you do more stuff on your turn, he gets stronger and stronger and stronger because you have to do the simple ones to get to the medium ones to get to the long ones, and you only have like a 5-second window to do them all. So the faster you input them, the more damage you can do. I think that's what they were trying to capture it.
Okay, because that's probably a good interpretation. I just feel like it's for what you described, this like kung fu dude that does crazy shit. This is a kind of weird way to represent that.
Yeah, it is.
Especially because like he has no keywords. He does get stronger for your lands, but he's always stuck at 3 toughness, so he's kind of weak. You know, even turn 6, 7, 8, he'll be a 6/3, a 7/3. He's not going to be super good at attacking. I feel like they should have given him first strike or something, but maybe that would probably make him too aggressive. You know, like you play this guy on turn 3 and then turn 4, you have a 5/3 first strike. Yeah, that'd probably be too good.
Yeah, idiot.
I don't know. As a you know, the way you described his character, I think it's sort of a lore fail, but
yeah,
as a card individually, it's very cool. Really interesting card.
I agree. At least
and mono red.
Yeah, that's what was weird about it.
Real strange.
Yeah, they haven't done a lot of landfall in red at all up until this point, have they?
No. They've been sort of branching into it, but this guy being a mono red, you know, extra land drop, they have not had a mono red card that lets you play extra lands, I don't think. He's cool. I think he might actually be my favorite card in the bunch.
Whoa.
And it's back to kind of classic Magic, where it's just a pairing of abilities that work well together and are cool and interesting in a way you haven't thought of before. This is kind of just like, that's like classic Magic design to me, where they take simple abilities, it's not a ton of text, they put them together in a way that you hadn't considered, and suddenly it kind of opens the door of like, whoa, what could this card actually do? Whereas you have these other cards like Emmett Selch and Cecil that transform in both sides of a paragraph of text, and it's just like so much. But this is just as interesting and intriguing as those other cards, with a third of the space taken up. It's just clever. I really, really appreciate this kind of card.
Wow.
Really cool.
Dang.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Fair?
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites of these bunch we talked about today. He's really cool.
Who is your favorite? What is? Probably Sin.
I think Sin.
Yeah,
I know it's not the best. Like, yeah, I know there's better cards for 7 mana, but I just think it's really cool and I love the art. Yeah.
He'd be so good in fuck, I can't remember the name of the commander. He's a Sultai commander, he's 6 mana, he's like a big junk tornado monster thing, and you can play a permanent of each type from your graveyard every turn.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm talking
That
about?
would be cool.
He came out quite a few years ago.
Actually.
Well, his static ability is you can play one of each permanent type from your graveyard. So you get the land from your graveyard, you get the enchantment from your graveyard, the creature from your graveyard.
I've seen this guy.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Oh, you guys were
but
just
I know
saying
who you're talking
because
about.
like you knew who it. Yeah.
Yeah, from the original Dominaria, I think is.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. So Sin would be very cool in that deck, which was the first thing I thought of.
Fuck yeah.
I'm going to look up this card while we fill this dead air. There he is, Muldrotha. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each type from your graveyard. Very cool. Yeah,
that's pretty powerful.
Hey, he's an avatar, speak of the devil.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah, avatars
Make
have they've historically been reserved for cards that just don't fit a type. They're like not an elemental, but they're some kind of god.
They're
thing,
basically a
but they're
god, but when
god.
the universe itself doesn't call them gods, but they feel that kind of like above human role.
There was that otherworldly being.
Yeah, the cycle of avatars in Lorwyn is what I always think of. The dual hybrid colored like big. They represented each kind of faction in Lorwyn. There was Divinity, the one that was called Divinity, Divinity of Pride. Divinity of Pride. Edge of Divinity is his sword, but Divinity of Pride is the creature's name. They had a cycle of these. Anyways, very cool. Well, that's the Final Fantasy spoiler so far. 16 of them. Few of the cards were cool.
14.
Zeldinked, the gayest card of the bunch, but also the coolest.
Were there any bad ones in here that you're just like, this is kind of like stupid?
I don't get Stiltskin, the giving your opponent a permanent to draw a card.
Yeah, that one
seems pretty weak.
That one needs you kind of need to reveal him with a package of cards because it feels like this is incomplete thought, but not in a way of like, ooh, where are they going to go? But I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this information.
Yeah, Cecil. Go ahead, Daniel.
Oh no, I think side quest Catch a Fish is also kind of mediocre.
All these uncommons have been actually. Shiva, Tonberry, the side quest, Gladiolus, they're all pretty average. Garland is cooler, and the Chocobo is obviously extremely strong, but yeah, most of them have been not good. What was your guess, Taylor?
That Tonberry is the worst card that we have.
Really?
Yeah.
Your least favorite, you said?
No, I think the weakest. Did you guys want to talk about any of the commander cards that were printed?
No, let's save that.
Okay.
I don't even know what those are. Actually, I haven't looked into them. I think we can do that.
I think you know what. Let me just read what Cloud does as comparison, just as a reference for what the real sets Cloud could look like. Are you cool with that?
Oh, Final Fantasy Commander is the one you're talking about here.
Cloud.
Yeah, I'll read it with you. Oh, I didn't realize they even had these.
Yeah, there's
we'll
only
read these
4.
another time with Carver.
Yeah, they only have 4 out so far, and then there's 2 more that were spoiled for other reasons. But
Okay, let's read Cloud.
So he is 2 colorless, green, red, and white. So he's Naya instead of Gruul.
Boros. Boros.
Yeah, Boros. He's a 4/4 haste. When he enters, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to him. When he attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then, if he has 7 or more power, create 2 treasure tokens. I still think this is bad. But it's
that's a whole other world of powerful.
I still think it's sorry. I don't know if this was cut off, but I still don't think it's that good, but I think it is much better. Like, this is playable.
Yes.
And it's just not, when you read the other ones, like, to me, this is the weakest of the 4, like, commander, because these are the 4 on the commander decks. That's what I'm thinking of.
The thing is, I think, so him having haste already that's the kind of explosive keyword you need on
haste,
a Voltron
that's
general.
A good point. Yeah.
So he comes out, immediately takes the single best equipment you have and equips it for free. So turns 1 through 4, turn 4, you can play very strong equipments with that have like low cost but really high equipment. For instance, like that fucking hammer that gives plus 10, plus 10, but it equips for 7 or whatever. Like, Cloud comes down, steals that for free instantly, and just swings for 14 damage. You'll meet both of his conditions, draw a card, and create 2 treasures. The treasures then give you the mana to play whatever you just drew. I think this is a deceptively strong card. He has card advantage built in. And it's draw a card for each equipped attacking creature. So you could go wide or tall with him. If you go tall, you draw less. But if you just put a bunch of little equipment on a bunch of random stuff, I mean, you could draw 6 cards in a turn. This one's way stronger. I like this one way more.
Yeah, I like when I remember, because that's why when I read that Cloud, I was like, I remember the Cloud I read being way more exciting. What happened? And I was like, I read the Commander version. Yeah. I didn't realize that one of the 2 like Tifa that was announced like literally 1 day ago. So there's some new ones here, but obviously the Commander cards are way more interesting because they're commanders. They don't really count. Because like, I shouldn't say that they don't count, but like there is this like unfair advantage to like reading. It's like Modern Horizon cards. It's like, it's not fair to review those because like they're all so much more powerful by nature of being overtly powerful. Like,
yeah,
I feel
being made for the powerful format.
Yeah, so being a commander card that's designed to be your commander, like obviously their text is going to be like, what if you built a 100 card deck around me level of powerful, you know? But I do love reading them because I just like seeing what the different wedges do. Like, I love that Tidus's like abilities is like to move counters around cards. Like, what a weird theme. Anyway, that's Magic.
Yeah,
Fantasy.
I'm excited to see those. Looking forward to reading those with Carver.
At least Final Fantasy, it is adjacent to fantasy thematically.
It has the word in it. That's true.
It could be a lot worse. I'd rather see a Warhammer 40k set before Final Fantasy, but I know Final Fantasy, so I have a little of the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Hey, I get that reference.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm actually impressed at your depth of knowledge. I mean, you knew the lore for every single card, even the stupid side quest catch a fish like meme one. You actually knew like what was up with it. So
this is something that I was realizing in real time too. Like this, I can't do my taxes well, but don't worry, I recognize Final Fantasy 15 art.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
I can tell you the lore of a Tonberry, no problem.
You just need to find an accountant who will do your taxes in exchange
that's why I'm on
the Final Fantasy trivia night that you host.
When they make a side quest card of that exact, then I'll find a reason to do it.
All right, good ep. I got a piz out of my diz real biz, so I'm gonna go.
Didn't have to leave this in the podcast,
all right,
but now you're gonna have to. So thank you. If everyone knows that Kyle's gonna go. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good discussion, boys.
Yeah, that was
Goodbye.
fun. See ya.